just want to say thank you to a few people before we start. So it's so good to be here, actually. I really appreciate this conference. And it's so great to be in a room full of people that already get the fact that the digital space is a mission field. I spent quite a lot of my life trying to convince people that it is. And so it's really encouraging. And that's what I want to share about today, really, is our journey and our solution for what we're bringing to the online mission. And hopefully you'll get to learn something, maybe from our mistakes or what's not working, but also from maybe what is. I've certainly learned a lot already. I've learned that it's Carl Udi, not Udi. Who knew that? I didn't know. I also learned that Mark Reddy is going through a midlife crisis with the way he dresses. That was new. And today I learned that you can't confuse China and Japan. That was a real good lesson that's really important to know. What I want to share about, my name is Nathan, by the way. I probably should have said that right at the beginning. And I am a part of Christian Vision, who is behind things like yesHeis. And we've existed since the mid-'80s, actually, as a ministry. And we've got one vision, and that is to get the gospel to as many people as possible. And so we, throughout our history, have been in radio, in print media, all these different mechanisms, and we've had to change and adapt with the times, because our identity is not in the method or in the medium we use to connect with people. Our identity is in the mission that we've got. And so we've got to be flexible to be able to adapt and to be able to change along with where the mission field is and the biggest opportunity is. So whereas shortwave radio used to give us an incredible opportunity to get into nations like China from other places, now the internet's here, we can do that in a more effective way. And so what I want to share today is our actual, a little bit about yesHeis, our journey, and also just explain how we're aligning the product and what we're bringing to the table. Because what I love is diversity. There's not one solution that fits all. God's created us all to be creative and to come up with ideas, a bit like church in all its expressions and all its styles, but yet united in one common cause, which is to get the gospel of Jesus to as many people as possible. And so when we started to stop our shortwave radio, we looked at the online space and we said, what should we do? And we literally started with a blank canvas. And there's many, many things we could have done. Some of them have been represented here, and they're all equally as valid and approaches to this problem. But we have taken an approach which our founder and our funder actually spent time in just seeking God and saying, God, what is it that you're doing on the earth? We don't want to come with our plans. We don't want to come with our ideas. We want to get on board with what you're doing, and we want to become a part of that. And so he started praying and saying, look, we've got this large vision, which is to touch 1 billion people with the gospel of Jesus. How are we going to do this? And the reality is, as an organization, we existed really as kind of outside of the church. We existed completely as a parachurch, really, organization. And God really clearly spoke to him and said, the answer to evangelism, the answer to discipleship, the answer to scale is the local church. And so through yesHeis, what we're now doing is aligning ourselves alongside the local church. What we bring in the area of the Great Commission is actually tools and resources for the church to use to build the church. And so you'll find that as I explain yesHeis and what it's all about, many of our decisions and how we're taking the product is actually about empowering the church, empowering Christians to share their faith individually. To get the message across that evangelism is not for the paid evangelist. It's for every single one of us. And so how can we equip and resource the Christians and inspire them to share their faith? There's several things, and we've heard about this, and that time's going really fast. I haven't said start yet. This is crazy. But one of the things that we've learned over this time through Mark and what also has been shared by other people is that actually there's nothing new under the sun. And that's one of the biggest lessons we've learned in this. We're not reinventing evangelism. Evangelism's been around since the Great Commission. We're not. It's like the same notion of saying Mark Zuckerberg created social. He didn't. God created social. When he put Eve in the garden and started creating a community and telling people to spend time together, that was when social was invented. The digital has just taken something that existed for a long time and brought it down into a new area. And so when we look at actually evangelism, we can take many examples and lessons from the way that missionaries and people have done things over the past. And so these are 4 things that we hold dear when we build this product. The first one is the best form of evangelism is through relationship. That is something that we hold really dear to the way that we produce this system. The best place, the most healthiest place for a new believer is in their local church, in their community of where they live. That's something else that we hold dear. It's where the online and the digital meets the offline. Because social is very broad. I can share something today and it can go right around the world and all my friends can watch it and look at it and say, oh, that's brilliant. But then there comes a point where that actually then starts impacting their lives. And as we start wanting to connect them into local church, it becomes very local in their community. So that's something that we hold dear as well. Also knowing that we haven't got the ability to save anyone. We can produce content and we can produce great systems and apps and all these different things. It's not us that saves people, it's God. God through the power of his Holy Spirit. And so all we can do is be faithful in sharing our story and sharing Jesus and the gospel, and then allowing God and creating a window of opportunity for God to do the bit that only he can do. It really is a partnership between us and God. And also no, that's it on that one. Cool. So for us, it's all about actually empowering Christians, the church, to share their faith online. So what I want to do now is explain yesHeis. I want to explain how it works, and hopefully what I've just explained will bring context to the decisions we've made. Because we didn't just build a product. Technology doesn't shape vision. Vision shapes technology and how we use it. So you don't start with a product and then adapt your vision. You have to hear from God and say, what do we want to achieve? And then get that the right way around. I'm just going to play this quick video, which is a little introduction to yesHeis, and then we'll move on. So yesHeis, that was just a real small sample, and I'm actually going to finish with some more examples of responses that are coming back as a result of people sharing their faith online. Because what I want to get across to you today is that actually we can a lot of the blockers of people sharing their faith, things like I'm scared of what people are going to say, or I'm scared of them asking me a question that I don't know the answer to, that actually through technology we can solve some of those things. So as I talk, you'll see a demonstration come on the screen, and this is the actual yesHeis app. And you'll see that what we do is we aggregate content. There is incredible content out there on the web that is already available. And what we do is we bring that together and we organize it around interests and needs. So as a Christian, you can quickly find something to share with your friends. You can see what's recent, what's popular, what's trending. We can put featured content in there if it's Christmas or Easter. You can search for things like love or even basketball-like interests, because it's all about finding things that actually you can use as a seed to start a conversation with your friend about Jesus. Or maybe you're already having a conversation with your friend and they just explain that they're feeling lonely or they're feeling depressed or whatever. And so basically when you find a piece of content like this one from Nick Vujicic, you simply just share that on your social network. And when that video is shared across to let's say, Facebook, the non-Christian who then engages with that video doesn't go to yesHeis, Because yesHeis is a tool to equip the Christians. It's where we talk to them. It's where we encourage them to share their faith. But when the non-Christian engages with that content, they just want to view the video. They don't want to see all the Christianese. They don't want to see all this sites about evangelizing your friends. It kind of doesn't work, the two together. So this is a viewing platform that allows that person to watch the video. And at the end of every piece of content is a piece of text that just simply says, do you want to find out more about Jesus? And then we present the gospel if they do. Because every piece of content that is shared is simply an on-ramp to the gospel. Because the content is a seed, it's something to get people's minds, it's something that's very shareable, it's a story, it's a parable. But then every piece of content links to the gospel presentation. And then we simply ask the question if they would like to put their trust in Jesus today or they have any questions. And then when somebody fills out that form, that then goes into response and into local churches, and I'll explain how that works shortly. And so really, the gospel is the centerpiece of everything we do. Because one of the biggest lessons we've learned, and it sounds obvious when you say it, is that actually we're not equipped to help people that are actually suffering with depression. We're not actually equipped to help people that may be suicidal. But what we are equipped to do is to actually share the gospel and talk to people about Jesus. And so by putting the gospel at the centerpiece, it kind of frames the question. And I'm going to go into some of those responses in a moment. If you could just press pause, that'd be awesome. But at the same time, we keep the Christian fully informed of all that's going on because we want to empower the Christian to be a missionary, to go into all the world, to share their faith online. So at the same time that they've shared this content, we push notify them and let them know about their friends that have just watched it, or their friends that have now engaged with the gospel, or their friends who have actually responded to the gospel as a result of the content that's shared. So I can actually see now, not only am I sharing content, but I'm being very intentional, and I'm actually being a missionary, and actually people are coming to know Jesus as a result of me as a Christian doing my bit and just sharing with my friends. And because relationship is at the very center of all that we do, what we want to do is make sure that that connection between the Christian and the non-Christian remains. You see, as a Christian, you might have spent years and years and years praying for a particular person and believing that one day they would talk to you about matters of faith. And then if suddenly we or I or somebody else, a stranger, takes over that conversation halfway through, it kind of doesn't flow. It's every Christian's job not only to share their faith in evangelism, but also to disciple their friends and to connect them into their local church. And so, just to recap that, I'll just go back one. This app is currently, that's going to play again, there we go. This app is currently in 7 or 8 different languages. This is just a screenshot of the Chinese app. The content is local, so it's not English content that's translated. This is Chinese content. We're currently in all of those different languages, and we've actually partnered, and we're looking at other countries in Japan and South Korea to really come alongside the local church and equip Christians to share their faith to build the local church. And so here's a video of Bono. I just want to give you a quick example about what happened with this video. This is a clip of Bono in an interview that went onto YouTube, and somebody asked him, who was Jesus? And Bono just explains very clearly, actually, who Jesus is. It was an incredible video. And that video on YouTube had 2,000 views. That's all. We aggregated it. We put it into yesHeis. The Christians then got behind it, started sharing it. And in 3 weeks, that video had over 1 million views, which meant over, I think it was 70,000 people watched the gospel, and we've had over 1,000 people give their lives to Christ as a result of that video. It's incredible. And so this is what the non-Christian would have seen. They'd have watched Bono, the 2-minute clip. They would have clicked and said they would like to know more. And then we would have been contextual in the way we presented the gospel. So, for example, we can detect when somebody's in China and we can bring up this guy. We can detect when somebody's in Australia and bring up Joel Abel. We can detect when somebody's in India and bring up Ravi Zacharias. And so we've partnered with all these pastors around the world to present the gospel in a clear 2-minute video. And how does it work? We encourage the Christians to start sharing their faith. Download the app. It's free. It's all aggregated content. Start sharing their faith online. We then partner with churches around the world to start producing the gospel and to do that in a short 2-minute presentation. And all the responses that flow from that go into the local church. So this is a partnership we're doing in the Philippines, in Manila, with a church called CCF. They've just empowered all of their Christians with this app. They've said, download it, start sharing your faith online. They're comfortable doing that because not only are they getting content that is very easy to share, but they know that this guy is going to be presenting the gospel, and they like this guy because it's their pastor, and they trust him to share the gospel. And then the church is getting really behind it. And I appreciate what Paul said earlier about actually churches actually turning around and trying to convince pastors to get involved in digital. Actually, all pastors care about are building their church. And so now we come along and say, this is a tool and a resource that your people and congregation can use to share their faith that will build your church. And all of a sudden, the pastors go, yeah, we want in. And so that's how it's working. I'm completely out of time, and I want to honour the time, even though I kind of haven't and gone over by a few minutes. But I'd love to talk to you a bit more. I don't do business cards, so just Google that, and you'll find me on all the social places, and would love to connect. And also, I'd encourage you to download the app, to use it, share it to yourself if you want to follow the process through. But yeah, that's how we're approaching the online mission. Thank you.